Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. Today's story is one you won't believe. A ruthless millionaire stumbles upon a homeless woman with two children on the streets. But when he looks closer, his heart stops. He knows her. What happens next will leave you speechless. Before we dive in, comment below which city you're watching from. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this unforgettable story. Let's get started. In the bustling city of San Francisco, Ethan Carter, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp business acumen, was crossing a busy street corner when something caught his attention. A woman, dressed in tattered clothes with disheveled hair, sat on the sidewalk. Her face was etched with exhaustion and pain. Beside her, two little girls, twins about 4 years old, wore clothes that had seen better days. One of the girls was quietly crying, rubbing her eyes with small, dirty hands. "Sweetheart, it's okay. Someone will help us soon," the woman murmured, stroking the child's hair with a trembling voice full of desperate love. Ethan felt a pang in his chest. He knew that face, even through the dirt and pain. It couldn't be, but it was. Sophia Bennett, the love of his youth. The girl he had admired from afar in high school, though she had never noticed him except to mock his awkward attempts to get her attention. Now here she was, vulnerable and helpless. Ethan approached slowly, his heart racing. "Sophia," he called hesitantly. The woman slowly lifted her head, her eyes widening as she recognized the voice. "Ethan," for a moment neither of them spoke. The silence between them was heavy with painful memories. Then Sophia lowered her gaze, as if wishing to disappear. "What happened to you?" Ethan asked, unable to hide his concern. Sophia looked away, clutching the girls even tighter. "It doesn't matter, we're fine. Go away, Ethan." But Ethan couldn't ignore what he saw. One of the girls was sobbing from hunger, while the other clung to her mother's arm, staring at him with wide, frightened eyes. The pain and despair of the scene hit him like a blow. "You're not fine. Come with me. I'll help you," Ethan insisted. "No, I can't." Sophia began to protest. "I'm not leaving you and your daughters out here in the cold. You're coming with me, and I won't take no for an answer," Ethan said firmly. The girls looked at him, curious yet cautious. The one who had been crying pressed her lips together, holding back her tears. Sophia hesitated, but Ethan's determined gaze made her relent. She knew she had no other choice. Ethan pulled out his phone and called his driver. "Be here in 5 minutes," he said, before putting the phone away. "Let's go. There's no reason for you to stay here." He extended his hand to Sophia, who reluctantly took it. When the car arrived, Ethan helped Sophia get in, carrying one of the girls while she held the other. The children were exhausted, their faces resting on their mother's shoulders. During the ride to Ethan's mansion, the silence was oppressive. Sophia stared out the window, lost in thought. Ethan glanced at her occasionally, trying to understand how her life had fallen apart. When they arrived, Sophia looked visibly uncomfortable. The grand mansion, with its warm lights and immaculate garden, seemed like another world. "You don't have to do this, Ethan. We can," Sophia began. "No more arguing, Sophia. You'll come inside, eat something, and rest," Ethan interrupted gently. The housekeeper, Mrs. Thompson, opened the door with a surprised expression, but said nothing. Ethan instructed her to prepare a room for Sophia and the girls, while Mrs. Thompson took care of that. Ethan brought Sophia and the children to the living room. He lit the fireplace, creating a cozy warmth, and asked for food to be prepared for them. "Thank you, Ethan. Really, thank you," Sophia said, her eyes brimming with tears as the girls curled up on the sofa beside her. Ethan nodded, his mind racing. He knew that this night was just the beginning. Tomorrow he needed to understand what had truly happened to Sophia and how she had ended up here. The sun was just beginning to peek through the windows of Ethan's mansion, but Sophia was already awake. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she watched her twins, Emma and Ella, who were still sleeping soundly. For the first time in a long time, her daughters were warm and comfortable. That should have eased her heart, but instead, she felt a growing knot in her throat. Across the mansion, Ethan was also awake, sitting in his office thinking about everything he had seen the night before. The image of Sophia on the sidewalk, holding her children, wouldn't leave his mind. He needed to understand how this had happened. After all, the Sophia he had known in school had been confident, full of life, someone who seemed destined for great things. Shortly after, the housekeeper knocked gently on Sophia's door. "Miss Bennet, breakfast is ready. Mr. Carter would like you and the girls to come down." Sophia thanked her and woke the twins. A few minutes later, they went downstairs together to the dining room, where a generous breakfast spread awaited them. The girls ran excitedly to the chairs, delighted by the variety of fruits, breads, and juices. Sophia, however, hesitated. "Please, have a seat," Ethan said, appearing in the doorway. He was wearing a crisp white dress shirt and looked relaxed, though his eyes revealed a serious undertone. "Thank you," Sophia replied, pulling out a chair while watching Emma and Ella eat enthusiastically. During the meal, an awkward silence lingered between Ethan and Sophia. He knew he needed to tread carefully, but he was determined to understand the truth. When the girls finished eating, the housekeeper took them to play in a nearby room. Sophia remained seated, now alone with Ethan. He rested his elbows on the table and looked her straight in the eye. "Sophia, we need to talk. I want to understand what happened to you." She averted her gaze, clasping her hands in her lap. "It's not a story I like to tell. I'm not here to judge. I just want to help." Ethan paused, choosing his words carefully. "When I saw you yesterday, you and your daughters were in a situation that, well, it doesn't happen overnight." "What happened, Sophia?" She took a deep breath, closing her eyes for a moment before beginning to speak. "After we graduated high school, I started dating Daniel Harris. You remember him, don't you? He was the most popular guy in school." Ethan nodded, his jaw tightening at the mention of the name. He remembered Daniel all too well, someone everyone admired, yet who wouldn't hesitate to hurt others to get what he wanted. "Daniel and I started dating right after prom. I was in love and thought he felt the same. A few months later, I found out I was pregnant. When I told him, I thought we'd face it together, but he abandoned me. He said he wasn't ready to be a father and didn't want the responsibility. That was the last time I saw him." Ethan clenched his fists on the table, struggling to contain the anger welling up inside him. "He just left you?" Sophia nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "Yes, I was alone, with no support. My parents couldn't help much, and I did what I could to provide for the girls. But it wasn't enough. I eventually lost my job, and over time the bills piled up. When Emma and Ella were 2 years old, we were evicted from our apartment. Since then we've been living on the streets, relying on the kindness of strangers." Ethan sat in silence, processing everything he had just heard. The Sophia he had once known was strong, but life had broken her in ways he never imagined. "Why didn't you ever ask for help?" he finally asked, his voice softer now. "I was ashamed," Sophia admitted. "Ashamed of how my life had fallen apart. I didn't want anyone to see me like this, especially someone like you." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling a mix of compassion and sadness. "Sophia, no one deserves to go through this. You're not alone anymore. I'll help you and your daughters get back on your feet." "Why, Ethan? Why are you doing all this?" He hesitated but knew he had to be honest. "Because despite everything, I care about you. I've always cared." Sophia sat in silence, unable to respond. Ethan's words echoed in her mind as she tried to process everything that was happening. That night, as Sophia tucked the girls into bed, she reflected on what Ethan had said. For the first time in years, she felt a spark of hope, but she also knew that accepting help meant facing her deepest fears and rebuilding her life from scratch. The next morning, as sunlight poured through the mansion's large windows, Sophia woke to the soft laughter of Emma and Ella playing on the carpet beside the bed. For a moment she felt like she was dreaming. It was hard to believe that just 24 hours earlier, she'd been sitting on a sidewalk, unsure where their next meal would come from. She stretched and called the girls to get ready. Fresh clothes had been set out in the room, carefully chosen by the housekeeper. Sophia was struck by the thoughtfulness, though she still felt out of place in such a luxurious setting. When they went downstairs for breakfast, Ethan was already in the living room, reviewing some papers. He looked up when he heard the twins' footsteps and gave a faint smile. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. Emma nodded eagerly, while Ella shyly held her mother's hand. Yes, it was the best night we've had in a long time, Sophia replied, a touch of gratitude in her voice. I'm glad to hear that, Ethan said, gesturing for them to sit. You don't have to worry about anything today. I want you to rest. The girls can play in the garden, or wherever they like. Sophia hesitated. Ethan, I don't know how to thank you for all of this, but I don't want to take advantage of your kindness. As soon as I can, I'll find a job and Ethan raised a hand, stopping her. There's no rush, Sophia. Before anything else, you need to recover. Don't worry about timelines. We'll figure this out together. Despite his reassuring words, Sophia still felt a weight on her chest. Accepting help didn't come naturally to her. However, her daughter's well-being came first, and for their sake, she swallowed her pride. After breakfast, Emma and Ella went to play in the garden under the housekeeper's supervision. Sophia, meanwhile, helped clear the dishes, feeling uneasy about not contributing more. Ethan found her in the kitchen, shaking his head as he saw her trying to wash the dishes. Sophia, you don't have to do that, he said gently. I need to do something, Ethan. I don't feel right just taking everything without giving back, Sophia replied. Ethan sighed. If that's how you feel, fine. But for now, I want to talk about the girls. Do they have everything they need? Sophia paused, thinking. They need a few things like clothes and shoes. What they have is old and worn. Great. Let's go out and get what they need, Ethan said with a gentle smile. Sophia's eyes widened. That's not necessary, Ethan. I can manage later. No discussion, Ethan said firmly. I'll get the car. Half an hour later, Sophia, Emma and Ella were in a children's store downtown, with Ethan watching closely. The girls were delighted, running between the racks and trying on new clothes. Can I really get this, Mommy? Emma asked, holding a sparkling blue dress. Sophia's heart ached at the sight of her daughter's bright, hopeful eyes. Yes, sweetheart, you can. Ella, the more reserved twin, held up a pair of new sneakers. Me too, Mommy. Sophia nodded with an emotional smile. You too, my love. Ethan watched silently, pleased to see the girls so happy. After picking out clothes, shoes, and a few toys, he took them to a restaurant for lunch. During lunch, the twins chattered excitedly, sharing stories and playing with each other. Sophia watched them, feeling a sense of relief as she saw them smiling at last. You've done so much for us today, Ethan. Thank you, Sophia said sincerely. I've only done what anyone should do, Ethan replied casually. You deserve this, Sophia. Sophia lowered her eyes, the shame creeping back. She knew Ethan was being kind, but she couldn't help remembering how she had treated him in the past. You're a much better person than I was to you, Ethan, she murmured, almost inaudibly. Ethan frowned. Sophia, the past is behind us. What matters now is what we do moving forward. She nodded, though the guilt still lingered. When they returned to the mansion, the twins ran straight to the garden, showing off their new clothes. Sophia watched them from the living room window, a smile on her face. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Ethan, standing beside her, broke the silence. They're incredible little girls. They're my strength. To keep going, even in the worst moments, they gave me a reason to move forward, Sophia said softly. Ethan looked at her with admiration. You're stronger than you realize, Sophia. To go through everything you have, and still stand tall, that's something few people can do. She sighed. I don't know if it's strength or just stubbornness, but either way, thank you. Ethan smiled. If you ever need anything, you know you can count on me. Sophia nodded, finally feeling that she could trust someone besides herself. The next morning, Sophia woke up to the soft sunlight streaming through the curtains. Emma and Ella were still fast asleep, their faces relaxed, free from the worries they had carried on the streets. Sophia watched her daughters for a moment, feeling a mix of relief and hope. Maybe starting over was possible after all. After getting dressed, she went downstairs and found Ethan in the kitchen, sipping coffee and reading the newspaper. He looked up when he heard her footsteps and smiled. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Yes, thank you. And you? Like a rock, he replied, folding the newspaper and standing up. I made coffee for you too. Have a seat. Sophia thanked him, feeling strangely at ease with the routine that was starting to form. As she sipped her coffee, Ethan sat across from her and said, I was thinking, now that the girls are more comfortable, we can start focusing on you. On me? She asked, surprised.
Yes.
You mentioned wanting to work again. What kind of job are you looking for? Sophia stayed quiet for a moment, weighing her options. I don't have an academic background, so my options are limited, but I'm willing to do anything that allows me to support my daughters. Ethan nodded. That makes sense, but what if you could study, finish your education, and get a job that truly brings you fulfillment? Her eyes widened. Study? That's out of the question, Ethan. I don't have the time or resources for that. You'd have both here. I can help with the expenses and make sure the girls are well cared for while you study. Sophia shook her head, incredulous. You've already done so much for us. I can't accept anything more. Ethan leaned forward, his expression serious. Sophia, this isn't just about you. It's about Emma and Ella. If you have the chance to grow stronger, it'll benefit your daughters in the long run. Please, think about it. Ethan's words struck Sophia deeply. She knew he was right, but she still struggled with her pride and shame. That evening, after putting the twins to bed, Ethan asked Sophia to meet him in his office. He had something important to discuss. Sophia, I have a proposal for you, he began, handing her a small envelope. She opened it to find information about business and entrepreneurship courses. I want you to consider taking these courses. You're smart and determined, and I believe you have the potential to achieve great things. This will give you the tools to support yourself and create a better future for your daughters. Sophia looked at the papers, her mind racing to process the offer. Ethan, this is too much. I'm not sure I can do it. You're more capable than you think, and you don't have to decide right now. Just consider it. Sophia held the papers tightly, feeling torn between fear and hope. In the days that followed, Sophia began to reflect on Ethan's proposal. Gradually, she realized this could be her chance to change her life, and most importantly, give her daughters the future they deserved. Finally, after much thought, she agreed. She enrolled in the courses, and with Ethan's support, began studying during the day, while the twins were cared for by the housekeeper. Although the beginning was challenging, Sophia felt reinvigorated as she learned new skills and rediscovered a side of herself she thought she'd lost. Each day was a small victory, and she clung to the idea that she was building something lasting. Ethan closely followed her progress, offering encouragement and support whenever she needed it. He knew Sophia needed to believe in herself as much as he believed in her. Sophia, in turn, started to realize how important Ethan had become in her life. His constant presence and unwavering support were slowly breaking down the barriers she had built over the years. As the weeks turned into months, Sophia and Ethan's bond deepened. What had started as an act of kindness had blossomed into a partnership built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. One evening, as they sat together in the garden, Ethan turned to Sophia with a serious expression. Sophia, there's something I need to say, he began. She looked at him, her heart racing. What is it? I've come to care for you deeply, more than I ever expected. You and the girls have brought so much joy into my life. I want to be a part of your future, not just as a friend, but as a partner. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Ethan, I care for you too, but this is all so new for me. I'm still learning to trust, to believe in myself. I understand, Ethan said gently. I'm not asking you to rush. I just wanted you to know how I feel. Sophia nodded, a smile breaking through her tears. Thank you, Ethan, for everything. As they sat together under the stars, Sophia felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. With Ethan by her side, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Months later, Sophia stood in the garden of Ethan's mansion, watching Emma and Ella play with their new puppy. Ethan walked up beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. They look happy, he said softly. They are, Sophia replied, leaning into his embrace. And so am I. Ethan smiled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. This is just the beginning, Sophia. Our future is bright. As they stood together watching the girls laugh and play, Sophia knew that she had finally found the love and security she had always longed for. With Ethan by her side, she was ready to embrace whatever the future held. As the seasons changed, so did life in Ethan's mansion. Sophia's studies were progressing well, and she was excelling in her courses. Her confidence grew with each passing day, and she began to see a future she had once thought was out of reach. Ethan, meanwhile, continued to support her every step of the way, his admiration for her strength and resilience only deepening. One crisp autumn morning, Sophia woke up feeling unusually tired. She brushed it off as the result of late-night studying and the twins' boundless energy. But as the days went by, the fatigue persisted, accompanied by a strange sense of nausea. "Ethan, I think I need to see a doctor," Sophia admitted one evening as they sat together in the living room. Ethan's brow furrowed with concern. "Are you feeling unwell? What's wrong?" "I'm just tired all the time, and I've been feeling sick in the mornings. It's probably nothing, but I want to make sure," Sophia said, trying to downplay her worries. Ethan nodded, his protective instincts kicking in. "Let's schedule an appointment first thing tomorrow. I'll come with you." The next day at the doctor's office, Sophia underwent a series of tests. As they waited for the results, Ethan held her hand, his presence a steady source of comfort. When the doctor returned, she had a smile on her face. "Congratulations, Sophia. You're pregnant." Sophia's eyes widened in shock. "Pregnant?" Ethan's face lit up with joy, though he quickly masked it, not wanting to overwhelm Sophia. "Are you sure?" he asked the doctor. "Absolutely. You're about 6 weeks along," the doctor confirmed. Sophia sat in stunned silence, her mind racing. A baby. Another child. She looked at Ethan, unsure of how to process the news. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "Sophia, this is wonderful news, but I know it's a lot to take in. How are you feeling?" "I don't know," Sophia admitted, her voice trembling. "I'm happy, but I'm also scared. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not enough?" Ethan leaned closer, his voice soft but firm. "Sophia, you're more than enough. You're an incredible mother to Emma and Ella, and you'll be just as amazing to this baby. And you're not alone. I'm here, and I'll be here every step of the way." Sophia looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity and love reflected there. For the first time since hearing the news, she felt a glimmer of hope. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered. "I don't know what I'd do without you." The news of Sophia's pregnancy brought a new wave of excitement to the household. Emma and Ella were thrilled at the idea of having a baby brother or sister, and they eagerly helped Sophia prepare for the new arrival. Ethan, meanwhile, was over the moon, though he tried to remain calm and supportive for Sophia's sake. One evening, as they sat together in the nursery they had prepared, Ethan turned to Sophia with a thoughtful expression. "Sophia, there's something I've been wanting to ask you," he began. She looked at him, her heart skipping a beat. "What is it?" Ethan took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto hers. "I know we've been through a lot together, and I don't want to rush you, but I want you to know that I'm committed to you and the girls, and to this baby. I love you, Sophia, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she processed his words. "Ethan, I love you too, but this is all so new for me. I'm still learning to trust, to believe in myself." "I understand," Ethan said gently. "I'm not asking you to rush. I just wanted you to know how I feel." Sophia nodded, a smile breaking through her tears. "Thank you, Ethan, for everything." As they sat together in the nursery, surrounded by the soft glow of the moonlight, Sophia felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. With Ethan by her side, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Months later, Sophia stood in the garden of Ethan's mansion, watching Emma and Ella play with their new puppy. Ethan walked up beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "They look happy," he said softly. "They are," Sophia replied, leaning into his embrace. "And so am I." Ethan smiled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "This is just the beginning, Sophia. Our future is bright." As they stood together watching the girls laugh and play, Sophia knew that she had finally found the love and security she had always longed for. With Ethan by her side, she was ready to embrace whatever the future held. The day of the baby's arrival came sooner than expected. Sophia went into labor early one morning, and Ethan was by her side every step of the way. When the baby's cries filled the delivery room, Ethan's eyes filled with tears of joy. "It's a boy," the doctor announced, placing the newborn in Sophia's arms. Sophia looked down at her son, her heart overflowing with love. "Welcome to the world, little one," she whispered. Ethan leaned down, pressing a kiss to Sophia's forehead. "You did amazing, Sophia. He's perfect." As they held their son for the first time, Sophia felt a sense of completeness she had never known before. With Ethan by her side and their growing family around them, she knew that their journey was just beginning. And so, dear viewers, Ethan and Sophia's journey reminds us that even in the darkest of times, love, kindness, and second chances can light the way. Their story is a testament to the power of resilience, the beauty of redemption, and the unbreakable bonds of family. But this isn't just their story, it's a reminder that your story matters too. Every challenge you face, every act of kindness you give or receive, and every moment of hope you hold on to shapes the life you're building. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments below. What part resonated with you the most? Was it Ethan's unwavering support, Sophia's strength, or the twins' innocence and joy? Share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another heartwarming tale. Life is full of stories waiting to be told, and we're here to bring them to you. And if you're craving more inspiring stories, click on the end screen to explore our collection of tales about love, family, and second chances. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter where you are in your journey, there's always hope for a brighter tomorrow. Until next time, take care and keep believing in the power of love.